Hello and welcome to another Dead Pixel. I'm your host, Joe. With me today, the man who might have accidentally missed Mother's Day and is forever going to have to make it up, at least for the next month. Nick, how you doing, Nick?
I didn't miss Mother's Day. I talked to my mom on Mother's Day. Did you talk to your mom on Mother's Day?
Yes and no. It depends on which time zone you're looking at. Uh,
Yours is the only one that counts.
uh,
Like one time, when we were in Japan, um, I was up kind of late. I was probably like up at like 11 o'clock or whatever. Not that late, but like 11 o'clock at night. And when it was back when I used Facebook, and one of my friends was their birthday, and it popped up, "Hey, it's blah blah's birthday," and I was like, "Oh, I'll just go ahead and I wished him happy birthday." I went to bed, and the next morning I got up, and one of my other friends had commented in a joking way, but he was like, "It's not their birthday yet. Stop wishing them happy birthday from the future," because it was like in our time zone, it was their birthday, but in America, it was not their birthday yet.
yeah, I would specifically
So
wait till like the afternoon in Japan when it was like midnight, or whatever, like dark 30, and then I'll just spam people with happy birthday or whatever, congratulations or something like that, just randomly, like just to be that jerk. That was always hilarious. Well, for me, anyways.
uh,
I'm like, you're more than welcome to do the same if you remember. Uh, so, like, you should
yeah,
just be
that's
happy
true.
that I had it. Like, I actually took the time. But
Yeah, but I mean, I'm just like, yeah. I mean, your your mom's in a different time zone. It's it's about your time zone. That's what's important. That's the way I live my life. It's about me.
yes, as we all know, Nick is the main character.
I am the MC of this everything. Yeah. There's a girl at work that says that she's the MC. She's the main character. Anyway,
If she
um
uses MC, then you should constantly just say master of ceremony, so that if there's ever something you need to be done as a group function, be like, hey, so and so is the MC,
yeah.
and so here's the mic. Yeah,
Yeah. I'll make that joke as soon as I can. But yeah.
then get in trouble with
Yeah,
HR.
Mother's Day. Yeah, Mother's Day happened, and you know, you're a mother lover. I'm a mother lover. We're all mother lovers. Uh, so I'm hoping that everybody wish their mother a happy Mother's Day. And yeah, that's all I have to say about that.
It's a good Lonely Island quote there. I think they won a Golden Globe or something like that for that song, or one
And
of one of.
Susan freaking Sarandon in that music video.
Uh,
And the other lady is famous, and I can't think of her name right now.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are usually a podcast about video games, anime, entertainment, life, a little bit of everything in between. Nick is the one who gets our news up to date, so he picks what he finds is at least relevant for the week. And yeah, take it away, Nick.
Yeah, there wasn't a whole lot earlier this week. I was looking like on Wednesday and Thursday. I was like, yeah, this is a boring week, which is weird because, well, I guess that could make sense actually because last week there was quite a bit of news that we could talk about, um, but this week not as much. But it came in. It actually came in strong. I feel like just here at the end, at least to me. So apparently, Valve has been working on a hero shooter since 2018, so 5.5, 6 years, um, called Deadlock, and it has leaked. It feels kind of familiar, but I don't know if it just. So I don't know if anybody's already talked about this. I mean, 6 years sounds like somebody might have said something, but anyway, so it's leaked. There's a lot of screenshots. It looks finished. It looks very close to completion from the screenshots. Doesn't look like it's any kind of alpha build or anything like that. A beta would make some sense, but uh, 6 years is what they're saying, man. And a hero shooter. So it looks like a game. It looks all right from the very little that I can really tell about it. But I don't know. My main thing about this is Valve spending 6 years on a hero shooter sounds silly to me when Overwatch exists and um what's the one with three people? Um Starts with an A. Anyway, that one exists as well. I don't know. I'm kind of just like, what is this really gonna do for the industry or for Valve itself? I guess if they think it's something good, then it'll print money. And I guess they did have kind of the original hero shooter with what is it, Team Fortress and Team Fortress 2.
I
Um,
wouldn't necessarily call that a hero shooter, but I understand what you're saying. The thing is,
but like, I mean, it's not like a hero like capital H hero shooter, but like, didn't that kind of do a bunch of stuff, and then Overwatch was like, oh, we're gonna make an MMO, but then not with characters, and then we're gonna scrap that, and then just put our characters onto Team Fortress 2. Like, I never haven't played ever played Team Fortress 2, but that's what I remember people saying back in the day.
so from what little I saw of the article, there a lot of people are comparing this to a team shooter, like kind of with crossed with a MOBA, and that would make a little more sense because it's if they're trying to change it up a little bit, if you have like control points or anything like that. And I can see 6 years being a thing. Well, considering the fact that Valve's kind of notorious for taking a very long time to do things, but also in the last 6 years, there's kind of been a couple major world events, a pandemic and so forth. Plus, to see the downfall of a lot of hero shooters, uh, you know, they could have pumped their brakes as well. They could be like, well, how are we going to make it different? They'd still be, kind of letting it stew for a bit, or maybe even deciding to scrap it because that they who knows how many projects or how many iterations of things they've just buried because it's not up to their standard. They would rather spend money on something and bury it if it doesn't actually hold the Valve standard of like doing something new and kind of game changing, as it were.
Yeah,
It's that's why like leaks hurt in that sense because uh, you don't want like if they have a vision for how this is supposed to play out, then they want to control all that stuff. But if with Dota at their at their side and they do Team Fortress, you have Counter Strike, those all their tentpole stuff. Um, they could possibly
that's what I was
have room
saying.
to bust into something new, especially when everything's on the decline. You people might think it's a bad time to do it, but actually it might be the best time considering the fact that people are like, if you're even remotely interested, this might be able to revitalize the genre, as it were.
Yeah, um, that's what the article was kind of saying, was that like this has seemingly has a lot of elements of their other games. It has some, a lot of Dota stuff in it. Um, it has some stuff related to kind of Counter Strike, or I forget everything that they kind of list. Um, it's but to your point, you know, Valve doesn't really release anything as far as games go anymore, or not very often. So when I saw like Half-Life Alyx come out, I was like, okay, they're swinging for VR. They're making something new and different, and they're trying to push their hardware. That all makes sense, you know. Um, I guess I just don't know how long that took to develop. Maybe it took a really long time. Um, I didn't really care for using the Half-Life name because it's just like teasing people. At this point, if I wasn't going to actually make a Half-Life 3, I wouldn't ever mention Half-Life ever again if I was Valve. Um, uh, so when I see something like this, I'm just like, you guys don't hardly ever release anything, and maybe it'll be very different. But I'm just like, you guys don't hardly release anything, and you come out with something that is seems very iterative, And to be frankly honest, it seems like a money printer, which is what all of the big studios want. They want a game that just prints money, where they have the core of it and they have teams that, that update it and make it like a little bit better and get you skins and stuff like that. And that's all, fine, for the most part. I mean, there's definitely fun to be had there and stuff like that. What I don't like about that is I don't like it when I feel like companies are really only trying to extract money from me. So when Valve doesn't make stuff that often, and then I see that they've been spending so much time on a money printer, uh, it just makes me go like, what do you guys really, you guys really aren't trying to make a game to entertain me and make money, but to like entertain me. Whereas like we're talking about, like Stellar Blade, like later, like Stellar Blade or Zelda, maybe. Um, it's like, hey, we made this awesome thing. People are gonna buy it, and that's gonna be enough. We don't need to keep extracting money from people, um, like forever on this one game. I don't know. It just kind of leaves a bad taste in my mouth, especially. I mean, if it was something crazy, like different and stuff like that, I'd be like, oh, whoa, that's kind of all right. But it just
Well, the problem is it's a
irritates me.
leak. It's hard to say exactly how much different it would be, having the MOBA twist on it. Now, granted, yes, it is a device in which to make the money, but so are the current things that I just mentioned. Between Team Fortress, Counter Strike, you have Dota. I mean, all that stuff has their own marketplace implements.
Yeah,
Um,
and it's good, and they already have Counter Strike and Dota, but they want another money printer. It's like these are games that I don't freaking play. Like I don't play those games because I don't play League anymore because of those things. They're just like an infinite loop of nothing, of like nothing new or oh well they do updates all the time. Yeah, like tiny micro bullshit updates all the time that don't matter at all until you've like left the game and come back after like a year or more. So I
Well,
don't know, just
they
that kind
did
of stuff
their last
irritates me.
endeavor was that Artifact, and that card game that did die out because it didn't
Yeah.
due to the monetization behind it. Now Half Life Alyx is for a long time is the poster child of what a VR game should be. Uh,
Should be, yeah.
yeah, so therefore they did make something and kind of put the bar high enough that everyone else should try to uh, ascend to, and good for them for that. I mean, I unfortunately I haven't had a chance to play it because I only have the PSVR, and I don't think I'll ever really get a chance to until maybe Sony starts opening it up more. Slash, they get the whole PC or the PSVR headset working on the PC, um,
Yeah.
and I do look forward to being able to play that one day. But we've proven that depending on how the model of the game goes, Valve will close the game and shutter it, and they did that with Artifact. Uh, Now, as far as everything else goes, I mean, you may not be interested in the game, but then again, you're really not a hero shooter kind of person at all. But you were into Dota and card games way more than I know most other people who were. Or people have their ebbs and flows. They won't play a card game for a while, and then they'll be into a card game for like a couple months, and then they'll dip out again, and like a year or so later come back. Like that's kind of how it works. Um, I got burned out with a lot of Overwatch. I would only
There's
come
room
back
for
in
that.
for holidays, and the special
Yeah,
events.
that sounds great. There's totally room for that. I just I just don't like I just don't like to like see a studio that made like crazy good stuff for me go, we're just gonna like, and who has a bunch of, has a bunch of stuff like that, like the money printers already. Just I guess that's just how they've changed. They've just gone
They're
from
just yeah
from
they're
Half-Life
they're a
to
corporation. They're no
into
longer an actual true and
Art.
blue game developer like they used to be.
Yeah, I mean they just have gone from, Half-Life 1 and 2, and freaking Portal, and those kind of games where it's like like what I want from a game is that like black swan moment where it's like, holy crap, I didn't know that was possible to do, um, in a game, or really like at all. Like sometimes it's stuff that's sort of simple, like Tears of the Kingdom, where you have like the machine stuff, and there's sort of that's like not like the best like Black Swan moment, but like, oh dang, there's like, this is like really kind of weird and cool, like stuff in like Fallout 3. Whenever I played that, which I hadn't played a whole lot of games in like a few months, whenever I played that, but when my friends show me that, I always think about like, dang, I did not know this was possible. Um, and that's a bigger moment, but there's like, that to me is the best part of games. And like the reason, honestly, the reason why I play games um, over the long term is to look for that moment, like, dang, this is so freaking cool and different. Um, Something that's going to blow me away. And every time I see one of these type of hero shooters or card games or whatever, like, okay, well, it's just it's just like kind of interesting for a while, but they're not really trying to make anything new. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
I
that's just,
understand, and it'd be nice for them to, it'd be wonderful for them to come out with something story based as well, and something that has. I mean, I think that's where Overwatch, the potential just went to crap because they were promising, uh, you know, single player or some sort of DLC campaign, and that's what their ads, their trailers were amazingly done. The art was great, and you gave lore to the characters, which was what you wanted. Unfortunately, everything else just fell apart. So to get a good hero shooter where you end up having, um, characters that you actually kind of are interested in, and you're able to get some sort of campaign or something like that. That for me would be great, and it'd be different enough to at least you know put some time into it. But unfortunately, I'm also not the biggest multiplayer fan. So anything single player, wise is always my preferred method. Now,
yeah.
when it comes to Portal, I mean, once again, that was also out of nowhere. Quiet, like and then the next big thing that happened. And honestly, uh, just because they had this one project underway, doesn't mean they don't have something else out. But once again, they would rather keep it quiet until they think it's ready. And it's very rare that they have leaks like this. So we'll see what comes of it. Probably nothing. I mean, it's like I just
Yeah.
wouldn't be that surprised if they just don't say anything
Well,
until if it ever comes out.
that's the other thing I wanted to say is that, like, if this has been in development for 6 years, and seeing the screenshots that I've seen, it looks like it might have an imminent announcement. Um, you never know for sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if we got an announcement this summer, or maybe a little later. But then again, they might scrap it. Like that article said, they've scrapped like as many as like 12 projects. And they scrap a project, and they grab whatever, they pick from the carcass whatever is useful, and use it on the next thing. But
Yep.
yeah, you just never know if they're gonna actually pull the trigger and actually make or release a game. But we'll see.
All right. Well, speaking about imminent releases and possibly something of note. Your next thing of news. You're talking about you looks like you have Assassin's Creed Shadow.
Yeah, Assassin's Creed Shadows, plural Shadows. Um, yeah, you were telling me about this trailer just dropped a couple days ago, and so I looked it up, and we were watching it, and it's I I'm not like a really big Assassin's Creed fan. I think I only ever played the first one, but I feel like since it's always so big in the news, um, you kind of just can't escape it. So, uh, anyway, people have been asking for, I guess I should say, for anybody that doesn't know, Assassin's Creed Shadows is set in feudal Japan, um, which people have been asking for at least 10 years. I know people have been asking for this since at least 2014. Um, and they've been reluctant to go here because I think it's because they know that this is sort of not really like a last stop, but sort of a crescendo for a lot of people. Um, they're gonna go to Japan and do the stuff that they have, um, and then they'll probably be able to keep making Assassin's Creeds, but they're not gonna sell, as well or as much um, as one that's set in Japan just based off of that alone. Um, so they've been kind of cagey about it for a long time. Um, this trailer, I don't know. It's mostly we don't really see any gameplay, right? Which I know which I mean we're gonna know what the Assassin's Creed gameplay is pretty much gonna be, but the story looks sort of like a regular Assassin's Creed game. I don't know. I was not my interest was not really piqued the way it was for say like Origins, um, really. Uh, but I was wondering how you think about this trailer.
I kind of don't care. It's just how it comes out to. I mean, the whole concept is they're trying to use. They're using Yasuke as their one of their main leads, who is famously um, a he was under the employ of like not Nobunaga. Everyone likes to. Now this is where the history. There's not very much history about it. They just know that there was an African who was there. Then they don't really know much about the real story. A lot of people like to fantasize that he was a samurai. Uh, I'm pretty sure there was no evidence of that, um, and that's just a misconception. But he did supposedly have his own set of armor that's on display, and yeah, so it's romanticizing that aspect. Since we know he's in it, we know at least it's during the Warring States period, and we know it's around Nobunaga's time frame. Um, Now, how will it portray a lot of those like major battles? We'll see. I'm kind of neat. It's kind of interesting as a historian, like aspect of the game, but also the series is kind of history don't matter as much as it did in the original series, because when it got to Origins, they really started going into a lot of lore, a lot of like fantasy and
It's like gods stuff that you fight, right?
yeah, later on, and then of course Odyssey was just straight up just nothing but which I found it to be more entertaining that way, but at the same time, it wasn't. It became a little too much. Valhalla, I never played, but I know that a lot of people um, just said it's a great game. It plays really well, but there's just too much to the game, and the ending kind of goes off the rails. But I feel like that's the thing of all
Yeah.
Assassin's Creed games. Uh,
That's what that's what Vinny used to say about it was like, dang, there's so much game here. You can beat it, you can run through it in like 20, 35 hours or something like that. But if you want to do all the stuff they have in there, it's like 150 hours of just stuff to do, which like Vinny used to say, if you're a one game a year gamer, um, is great. That's a ton of bang for your buck. But dadgum, it's a lot of stuff to make you run around and do, or not make you, but kind of dangle in front of you.
yeah, for sure. I mean, it's one of those things that I this isn't going to get me to jump back in. I honestly think
No.
it's neat. It's a fun concept. People have been wanting it. Yeah, they've been wanting it since probably like Black Flag era.
Yeah.
Because I remember them having rumors of some like they had rumors of an Asian themed one at the time. Turned out that was that the side scrolling China one. But they also
Yeah.
did it was China, Russia, and a third one which I can't remember off the top of my head, or at least I thought it was
You,
three. Um, but yeah,
you're
that
right. I
was
think there were, I don't know what it was. Yeah.
yeah. So a lot of people were super hyped about that. They're like, like yeah, they're finally doing it. And then every time afterward, they're like, and now is it going to be the time? Is it going to be Japan? Because assassins and shinobis. I mean, that makes perfect sense. Uh, the trailer itself, it looked good for the cinematic trailer it was, but the
Yeah.
man, it was just the second towards that a little bit after that second half of the trailer where they just changed the music. I mean, it was like, that tonal shift was just terrible. Like it not it was bringing me was that Crouching Tiger 2 flashbacks. Not
Oh
quite as
man.
bad, but it was
I think I
uh
watched the first like 90 seconds of Crouching Tiger 2 and I was like, nope, I'm not gonna let you ruin my memory of Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. I'm not gonna let you do it.
I mean, I think the one of the big things they showed in this new trailer though was um I believe her name's going to be Naue. Is
No
the
way. Yeah.
instead of having the blade come straight up, it comes up and then it turns 90 degrees, so then she can stab fools and like. So I'm like, all right, they're changing it a little bit. Instead of just poking people, palm strike, she's gonna be coming down. All right, that's
Another
that's
other
fine.
thing that I was thinking is that Naoe is not a good name um for a game like this because reading it as an English speaking American, it's awkward to read. Um, someone and saying it is not necessarily easy. Um, and I am proud of them for not just picking like just picking a name
Like Sakura or something.
like
Yeah.
Sakura or Hanamizu or something. Um, so I'm proud of them for that, but I would not have gone with this name. So I think that's gonna kind of hurt it. Not that that matters all that much, but I don't know. I get the feeling that each of these games they have, both sex options, but there's like a canon one, right? There's like one that's like a little more canon than the other. I feel like Odyssey, the girl was canon. Valhalla feels like the guy was canon. Origins, like the guy was canon. I don't know about the one after Valhalla. What was it? What was it called? The one in the Mid East?
Mirage.
Mirage. I don't know. I don't know about that one, but is that a crazy thought? Anyway, like I feel like the girl in this one's going to be the canon um, storyline.
No, it's hard to say. I don't have any investment in it, so I really don't care,
I
dude.
know.
it's I know it's
Give a
important to a lot of people. It makes a lot of people money. It makes so many people money.
shit.
But
It
that's
just
it.
the game just looks like I need to see some gameplay before I really make a decision about it. But I I think that this feudal I was expecting them to handle it with actually even more care. I guess considering how long people have been begging for it and how long they've been dangling it. What I would have done, CEO, uh, game lord, game developer Lord Nick, what Nick, what Lord Nick would have done is produced a Assassin's Creed that was good or whatever, Mirage or something, and then not made another one for a while, for like a long time. Made some like really good, deep, strange changes. Um, and so instead of like a bi-yearly, like give it like 4 years. Like let people like really be like, man, where is Assassin's Creed? Kind of forget about Assassin's Creed, and then pop out with like Assassin's Creed is back and it's in Japan, like you always wanted, and let it be, like advanced and different and that much bigger and better than like the previous game, not just like another iteration with, 120 frames per second instead of 119 frames per second. It just feels like it just feels like, well, we're finally out of ideas, so now we have to do Japan. Um, but
Well,
it's
I
still
was
going to be
telling
the
you about
same.
this. This is the one
Mm.
franchise that I can see being like rebooted. Just reboot it.
Basically,
The
what I was saying.
because yeah, they need to remake it, cut out all the alien bullcrap, and they can really come just start straight up from the beginning. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, granted, they probably did away with the aliens. Who knows how long ago? For all I know, I just the yeah, they can just redo Assassin's Creed from the start and start redoing the same locations. I don't care, but they can at least their gameplay would have changed. They've refined their techniques over the time, and you know I think it'll be fine. But right now, yeah, there's what is after this? I guess that's the big question. I mean, you probably got some sort of Assassin's Creed. You can do the Mayans or something. You don't really have a lot of jungle. Um,
Yeah.
you know, you can do some. Trying to think of some other empire or dynasty. Um, do something like the
Sub-Saharan.
Huns. You know,
Yeah.
um,
Mongolia, Sub-Saharan Africa. I mean, Russia at different points. You could do some kind of like Australian stuff. I don't know. There's probably a bunch of different things you could possibly do. And I kind of wonder if maybe this is sort of a if this is like a last hurrah before maybe they do some kind of a reboot where they're like, okay, we finally did Japan, so we're gonna take a break and then come back with a rebooted kind of reset to the series. I wonder.
yeah. All right. Well, I'm wondering how you're going to transition to this next news topic. So go for it.
Well, we were talking about killing in Deadlock, and then we were talking about killing in Assassin's Creed. So we're going to talk about killing in war, in Total War, Star Wars. So that's actually two more types of killing: Total War killing and Star Wars killing.
That's two wars,
Um,
double the wars, double the action.
double the wars. Not as much Total War as Warhammer, but in a way more. Um, Total War Star Wars is rumored to be in development. Um, and that's interesting to me. I played Total War Warhammer 2 a pretty good little bit, and it was fun. It was pretty hard, but it was pretty fun. And then I played Total Warhammer 3 um, a little bit less. Uh, and it was like probably a better game, but by then I was just kind of burnt out. I was like, I can't really, I'm not really going to do this anymore. I think that Warhammer, because it is already a soldiers and all that kind of stuff. It's a tabletop RPG, battle RPG. I don't know what you would actually. I feel like there's another term that I'm just not thinking of, but basically, it's an armies type game on a tabletop already, and it has decades of lore and um, minions and different types of ideas related to that. That it lends itself really well. Total War Star Wars seems cool. Like it's like, oh, that seems like a cool idea. That's what I kind of thought of when I saw that announcement or the rumor. But now that I'm thinking about it, I'm kind of like, I don't really know how good this is actually going to be. You could make it good, but I don't know if this is really the strength of Star Wars. And I'm sure it'll be a fine game as far as a Total War game goes, because they're going to be careful with you know the Star Wars name. Uh, I just don't know how much they're kind of just going to have to make up off the top of their head to make it interesting as a soldiers type game.
I don't think it'd
Uh,
be that difficult actually, because Star Wars actually has a or had made a RTS in the past. Um, so that was an Empire at War, and that was actually really good. At least I really liked it at the time. Uh, Came with a miniature Death Star as a pre-order bonus when working at GameStop. So we actually mounted it to the monitor at work, and just you hit it, and you can just hear the Death Star make the power noises. Yeah, I mean, but that game was quite capable for an RTS back in the day. Now it's not much different from a Total War. I mean, last Total War I played is funny enough is Shogun. So that was the last Total War game I really got into. Warhammer sounded really cool. Um, Granted, it was always a missed opportunity. Should have just been Total Warhammer. Um, but
Yeah, people talk about that, and
that was
it's like,
it wrote itself. I mean, it's comes up rolls off the tongue easier. But also, I'm a bigger fan
yeah,
of 40K. So that was always
yeah.
my interest. If I ever have to play like anything Warhammer related, if it's in the 40K universe, I'm like 90% going to gravitate towards that. Only if a friend really wants to play something else Warhammer related, like OG Warhammer related. I'm like, all right, I guess if you really want to. Um, so I can see
I
them
think the
making,
problem is,
yeah,
go ahead.
I can
I
see
was just
them
gonna
make.
say, I think the problem.
Go for it, man.
Yeah. I was just gonna say, I think the problem with Total War Warhammer 40K is that Warhammer 40K is in space, which is more three-dimensional, and I wonder how much how like because Total War is mostly 2D. You have flying units, but they're still on a 2D plane. They're just on a higher 2D plane. Um, and I just think that a Warhammer 40K type version would want to utilize more 3D type stuff. So maybe they're just like, oh, we just don't really have enough. But you're right, that would be really badass to have a Warhammer 40K Total War.
Well, Dawn of War was pretty much all that. It was their like faster pace RTS style. So everything was on land, and that so that would also cross over pretty easily in my opinion. And I was a big fan of the Dawn of War series. But as far as the Star Wars goes, I think it'll be fine. I mean, if you just love it or hate it, episode one showed you, showed you the scale of the invasions originally, right? All the
Yeah.
droids, and then, of course, you got Clone Wars and everything like that. So you can easily do a lot of the Clone Wars battles. Um, the shifting tides with just a few Jedi. Uh, you know, you can do the different scenarios. Get the speeder bikes in when you need to. You can do. You have all the key locations, all the key planets. So you're going to get at least what one forest, one desert. You can probably even do some sort of water based. You know, that's there's not really. I think it'll be pretty easy as far as that goes. You got all the clones, you got all the droids, um, and then depending on how much you want to milk the series, you can go on forever, and you can have all the extra DLC content you want or expansions back what we used to call them back in the day,
Yeah.
and you can do a brand new. You don't even have to rebuild the engine, right? Just new troops, new scenarios for the next episode, as it were, and just work your way up until you kill the franchise.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, until you killing a franchise again, yeah, it's true. um, Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. I think that I don't think Star Wars is not really built for that. There's definitely enough units there. Um, but it just seems like it's a bit more of a stretch. But they definitely have plenty to work with. It just depends on how much they're willing to put in it. And with Total War, they usually do a good job. So it definitely has potential to be um at least pretty dang good.
Well,
But
once
yeah,
again,
I lose.
look at Empire at War. Most people think the Star Wars RTS wouldn't have worked, and it turned out pretty good. So I think they can make this happen. Is it my first choice? Not even close. But hey, some people out there are going to be super happy, and who am I to rain on their parade? I mean, let them have fun. So all right.
Okay.
Well, speaking about having fun, yeah, we've been playing a lot of Stellar Blade. Unfortunately, not much else. Not enough time. But yeah, so I'll let you kick it off then.
Okay. So I've made it to Matrix 11. I guess I'm about a third of the way, halfway, somewhere in there through that area. I talked about the boss that I beat in that area, and then I'd play a little bit more beyond that. But so I'm making my way through it. Not to, spoil anything about the story or whatever. But The gameplay is good. I'm still kind of uh, learning new things and seeing. There were two more ability pages that I hadn't unlocked yet. I unlocked one of those. Um, so it's the game is still throwing new stuff at me, keeping things interesting. The the environments are different enough to be interesting, and not get old really. They're kind of doing a good mix of like open sandbox and hallway runner, and sort
Fucking
of
took
a
that from
little
me when I mentioned that earlier, man. Uh, but yeah,
yeah.
you've come
That's
across
it.
two hallways and one sandbox. How are you to know what's coming up next? Oh wait, I spoiled it for
Well,
you.
that's what. Well, I mean, I think if I recall correctly, I think that I'm the one that started to mention that like it's not just like one or the other. But anyway, so yeah, like so they're kind of doing some good stuff with that, some variation because that's what I was worried about with the game opening up in IDOS 7 is I was like, oh, this is going to be a freaking hallway action game, and when I got to Zion and then especially the Wastelands, I was like, oh, okay, they're doing some different stuff, which is good. Um, so yeah, it's good. I do have some. I don't know if I'd really call them complaints, as opposed to like just suggestions to make things better. Maybe they do it later in the game, but what I would like is to save different outfits. Um, so like you have your earrings and your outfit and then your glasses or whatever. That should be saved to like a slot. Like this is slot A, and it's like you can go, oh, you just go pick slot A, and you switch all over to that. And then you should also be able to add in hairstyles to that or whatever. So you can do like slot A, B, C, D, all with the alphabet, and there's different ones. Instead, you have to, if you're going to change outfits or all that stuff, you have to go in and click this and then go in and click that. It's like, yeah, but I like this one sometimes and I like that one other times. I just want to be able to quickly switch back and forth. But that's kind of just like a silly little nitpick. Um, Also, I don't know why you have to go all the way back to the barber, uh, the stylist to change your hair. Maybe it's a game. Maybe there's a game mechanic, or maybe they just don't want to break the immersion of, because like I don't understand. But anyway, you have to go back to change that. Um, so I would like to see those little improvements. I would like to have more. Not that they're in it that much, but I would like to have more um, suits and stuff at this point in the game for um, for Adam and for what's her name?
Lily.
Also Lily. For Adam and Lily. You mentioned that last time we talked about it, that they don't really have enough, and I think that's probably true. I
I
just
mean,
would want to see a little bit more
equality,
of that.
man. Adam just needs his his skin suit, just like or the naked suit, just like Eve. Just for equality all around. Um, the robot too. Your drone. Change your drone out. Make it just bare circuits. I mean,
Yeah, man, I want to see them
the motherboards.
them nudes, them motherboards. Yeah, I want to see them plugs. Um, so yeah, that would be kind of cool. But there's room for that in DLC and stuff like that. Um, so maybe that's what they'll sell us later. Um, Besides that, I ain't really impressed with kind of the new enemies. That kind of like the new area has new enemies, and the new enemies aren't just reskins. They do different stuff, slightly different. The moves are different, obviously, but like the like actual mechanics of like the way they work is a little bit different. Like, oh, okay, this is kind of interesting. Um, so I'm impressed with the game, and I don't know where you ended up on it, because you mentioned that you have beaten it, at least the main storyline. Um, but as I got in this new area, in the back of my mind, I was like, I think this is creeping a little closer to an 8. For me, I was like, I'm not there yet, but I'm pretty solid on 7.5, and I can feel it creeping ever closer. If they continue this and they crescendo nicely toward the end, with some good boss fights, because the boss fight I just had was good. It was fun. And then the way that it ended, I was I had some good moves, that like some good parries, and a dodge or two, and I ended it well, from a like skill standpoint. But then they had a little cinematic or whatever that they tie into the very end of that, um, to introduce a new ability thing, and I saved that whole like the last like 30 seconds, because I'm like, dang, that was just a freaking cool sequence. So it's still impressing me, and I'm liking it a lot.
Yeah. So, like I mentioned, I did beat it, and uh, I I really enjoyed it. I don't want to really. I'm not gonna like kind of give my final score really yet because don't want to color your uh, the rest of your gameplay. But I mentioned last time that we were both sitting at like a 7.5 roughly at that time. Uh, the game, I found it really entertaining. The fact that they do switch up, I'm still trying to keep it quiet for not spoilers. So therefore, I don't want to ruin anything for you. Uh, the only it's like, but they do go from different locations. So those corridors to the open map. Granted, later on you'll get another open map. So that one was a little bit at least the wastelands had like walls and stuff to really help keep you guided, and you can more systematically go through everything. The other one's a little more, just put it that way. So it took a little bit, uh, and where you are in Matrix 11, I happened to there was a missing spot on my Natiba like bestiary, and so I'm like, surely there has to be this other creature that comes in later on, like like something else. So I'm not worried that the fact that I missed this. Towards the end of the game, the types start to change enough to the point where like maybe I missed it. I don't know. So there are once again, I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's just a warning that there is kind of 2 points of no return. Um, the first one that happens, they'll kind of let you know, like make sure you get all your stuff ready before because you're not gonna be able to come back, like right away. Uh, Make sure you get all your stuff, all your side quests done in order, like or get that all knocked out of the way while you can, because some places might be closed off to you. The last one, you'll most definitely realize it is like the end, like stretch, and they will have um, that'll be your last chance to do anything like any mop up or exploring at that time, and that's what I used that time. I'm like, all right, I'm gonna go ahead and uh, look up the. I was missing one piece of data, like it was a note or something. It was a memo, and I found every other piece of document up to that point. Uh, all of the stuff I found except for this one, and I had to look it up. I was just like, dang it, I have to. Um, Turns out it was easily missable because there wasn't no need for it. But I was like, all right. But once again, there's no trophy tied to it. It's just me being a completionist weirdo. Uh, the
Yeah,
Yeah, for
that
sure. I
makes
mean, I really milked
sense.
this game for what it was worth. I played everything I
Hey
could.
man,
You know, I
you
got my
paid
money's
for it.
worth.
Oh wait, no, you did.
Yeah. Say great minds think alike. Yeah. Oh, it was for sure. It was. I think I beat the game in about 50, 55 hours.
Yeah.
Um, so
Okay. Okay.
um,
So,
while you're at the last point of no return, there is a when you get to the final save, they will let you know. If you haven't collected all the if your trophy doesn't pop, that's one thing, but they'll still let you know. I think this is the final save, pretty much, or the final time to rest. You can save cloud your thing. That way, if there's any decisions that need to be made, you can always reload it from the cloud and then do alternate endings. But saying that, you still can't get everything in one playthrough. you'll still have to do another playthrough, either a brand new game or there's no reason why you wouldn't a new game plus. And new game plus will unlock hard mode. There's only two new trophies for new game plus, which aren't related to the platinum, so you don't have to worry about that. It's I believe it's just leveling your character completely and completing a new game plus run. I don't believe that's tied to a difficulty setting. And then so I'm going to endeavor on a new game plus run just so I can get the final ending because I'm one trophy away from the platinum. And yeah, I really did enjoy my time with this. It's plays very well. I think as far as bosses go, they were all on normal mode anyways. They're all pretty fair. Uh, I had the most difficult boss was maybe the for me towards the end. But other than that, I think the thing that killed me the most in this game is falling from heights. Like just falling from like
Yeah.
accidentally missing a jump or like just goofing off, seeing if I can jump somewhere that I maybe couldn't. Like I'm like, can I make it to that ledge? And I'd fall just far enough to kill me. Um, and I'm like, I understand you can't use a WB pump. I'm like, but come on,
Yeah.
just let me do it. Like, but instead it'd reload me to the beginning or something. I'm like, dang it. That was just because I just ended up goofing off and just trying to do things I shouldn't be, or I'm exploring everything.
I
Um,
have a question.
yeah.
Uh, so you may not remember, but the area that I'm just in Matrix 11, you start walking on beams,
Hmm.
and I'm wondering if you did this. I'm sure you did, but you start walking on a beam, and you get about halfway out, and then Adam says, "Whatever you do, don't look down." So of course, I angle the camera to look down, and he goes, "Oh man, why did you do that?" And
Um,
I was wondering if it would do that if you didn't angle the camera down, but it was perfect. It was like they know. I guess they know that when Adam says that, you're gonna do that, and so then Adam can say that. But
yeah. I'm
it
pretty
was a
sure
nice,
I thought he complained for me because he's like, "Come on" or something like that. Like because I did it
yeah,
immediately. Like I didn't even skip a beat. I like, boom, hey, angled straight down, and it's just like, I didn't even care. I was
nice
like, let's
touch.
do this.
It is a nice touch. I was like, they goaded me into doing it, but yeah, he goes, "Oh, come on," and I don't know. I was just that made me laugh because I was like, that was definitely one of those moments where I could definitely feel the developers, nudging me a little bit. I enjoyed that, but yeah, falling in the game, um, the platforming. Oh man, I don't know. There's some things about the platforming I talked about last time that I would change. It's not so bad. I just think that needs some fine tuning. But yeah, falling from heights, I still die the most. Not from that though. That is whenever I do fall from heights, it just annoys the crap out of me because I don't feel like I'm not trying to do anything weird like you are, where you're like exploring and going, yeah, I know I'm kind of going off the rails here. Uh, so that annoys me. But I die the most when I kind of overestimate my ability against multiple enemies. Or I get into an area and I'm like, oh, I probably should have, yeah, and then I just get like trash canned. That's the way I die the most now. But yeah, it's still pretty fair. You just like if you go through it slow, you do. Most times when I die, I'm like, yeah, that was kind of on me.
The as far as platforming goes, I think the hardest part for me was jumping on one circular platform to another, like the floating drones.
Yeah,
That was about the extent of my difficulty with it, really, that bothered me because I found there's a lot of other areas like just for loot boxes or whatever, like a chest that require you to jump on like a small like a wall of a building and you can jump from one to another then make your way across or something, and I found that was all right, pretty okay for me. Any beams, you kind of get pretty close and you can kind of tell you kind of like a little magnetized to it, so they do give some assistance on that, and that wasn't too bad. I Yeah, I really didn't have too much trouble with a lot of the platforming, and in fact, I would use a lot of the platform to my advantage when if there's a railing, I'd be able to jump on the railing, and you could just barely either push forward or just jump and just kind of land perfectly on that, and then jump in the air twice and dash, and then be above an enemy so you can like assault them from above to do a quick stealth kill. So I really relied on that quite often, actually. So I really didn't have that as much trouble as you were having with the platform. But one moving platform drone to another, I found that more annoying than it should be. They never really get like, part of the reasons why I died is I'd mess up on that and I'd fall. So the other spot that I really found annoying was there's like a turret sequence, like 5 or 6 turrets or something like that, just beaming on you, and I was
Oh yeah.
that's the worst part for me. It was like they were like one shot. I was pretty much as max health as I could get. One shot to almost all my health gone, or if two of
Yeah.
them beamed on you simultaneously, it'd be insta death. Um,
Oh yeah.
so I replayed this one at least 10 times, um, and it's one of those things that maybe I was just unlucky or just I wasn't doing it right, not in the right headspace, too tired or something. But I died on that single portion more than any other, and with the exclusion of the second to last boss battle, which gave me the hardest time for any of the boss battles as far as those go. But um, yeah, that was
On the
yeah
first
that
time I encountered a turret, I saw him up there and I was like, oh, I was trying to get a box. It's like at the end of that bridge, that broken bridge, and I was trying to get a box, and I saw him up there, and for some reason he shot, and for some reason I hit dodge and perfect dodged at the exact right time, and which was really freaking cool. And so I didn't really, so I was like, okay, I just dodged one, and then I got the box, and then he shot me, and then like he shot me. I didn't dodge the next one, and it did take me down to like 2 blips of health. And I was like, oh, okay, those guys are freaking serious. And I got the heck out of there. But yeah, I definitely died plenty of times to basically getting one shotted by those if I didn't have full health.
So
They're
that was the
really
only one
annoying.
that I couldn't destroy. Well, maybe these other ones I could have, but
Yeah,
by
yeah,
the
that
time I
one you
didn't
can't
care.
destroy.
But that one you
You
can't
can't.
destroy, and it was next to the optional side quest slash boss battle. That in the pit.
Yeah,
I remember which one you're talking about in the wasteland. You find two of those turrets in the north. It'd be the northeast side, I think, or something like that.
you,
Um,
you can blow those up. Yeah.
and you can blow those up, which made me feel great. That I'm like, cool. They're not just indestructible monsters. But yeah, there's a long running sequence with them, and I'm like that was just for me made me livid. Uh, but yeah, the game was
Well, are you
fair.
talking about the one where you activate it on the one end and then you have to run
Oh no, that
down
was
the hill?
that was I did that the first try, first shot I got. Like
Uh,
yeah, I was able to make the run. I didn't bother even blowing those up. Or I don't know if you could on that one, but I just ran it and got the
you could,
extra.
but you have enough time.
Uh,
Because the first time I did that, I didn't realize what was going on. I didn't realize that there was a timer. I thought I was just under attack and I just had to fight my way, and then I would go get it. So I did, and then I was like, oh, now I can't get a thing. Oh, okay, this thing's a timer, and then I did it. And I barely had enough time. I barely, like literally by like probably the last 2 pixels, was able to double jump and dash to grab the ledge as it was, the thing was rising back up, and but I was able to get it then. But yeah, anyway,
yeah. I like I said, I do. I know that the new game plus offers color variants of outfits. So there's more fashion souls there. So all your stuff that you collected. Now, if you missed anything, the original version will be there. But you won't be able to get the color variant. So make sure you collect all the outfits you can beforehand. Uh,
wait, really? That's weird. So you will be stuck in the new game plus with the OG variant, and you can't.
if you missed it the first time around, yeah. So you can,
What? Okay,
Be-
I don't know. That
because
seems weird,
because
but
if it makes sense if it's the sequence of hey this box will populate with the item in said order. Now I don't know, I haven't seen anything about a new game plus plus about people getting a third variant or anything. uh,
uh,
I know with the whole scandal, quote unquote scandal of free Stellar Blade, people were thinking like, oh, maybe you can get the risque outfit after so many playthrough or something like that. I'm like,
Fair.
just
Yeah.
let it go, just stop. Um, just put it behind a paywall, and then fans will be angry, but they'll still be buying it anyway. So,
Yeah.
uh, yeah.
Yeah.
But honestly, this uh, the game, the only other thing was it's just like you got to make sure. Like I said, you cannot, if you want to get the platinum, you have to play through it twice. That's all there is to it. And uh, honestly, I think it's going to be worth it. I'm kind of curious how much harder the hard difficulty would be, um, and I might give it a shot. Though the later stages do get a bit more difficult. So there's certain enemies, even in the right after Matrix 11, there's an enemy or two type that one or two of them that I just do not like, and so um, yeah, be sure to remember to use all the special abilities you have. You just unlocked the second to last page of skills, and once you get the last page of skills, like I would always forget the last page of skills that you unlock, um, to the point where before I went to the final like thing of the game, there's a trophy tied to it, so I went ahead and grinded that trophy out, and that took me some time, but that's because I didn't use it ever. I would always forget about it, and I was like, yeah, I'll say okay, I just gotta remember use it on the boss, and I never use it on the boss, like not until the very last bit that I started using it. So it was just that was on me, um, but also I had a lot of uh, skill points stocked up that I was able to boost it up real quick. And I guess
Yeah.
because I just dumped a bunch of points into it, I never really learned to utilize it to the point where I really felt comfortable.
That is
So
a problem. Yeah, I think
yeah,
they probably could have done a little bit better with that. But maybe they just didn't. Maybe they had more abilities. They needed to have all those abilities. They needed to have more abilities than they had. Runway to use them. Individually, because otherwise you just kind of feel like you're being drip fed too much. But yeah, I'll make sure that last page I pay a little more attention to.
yeah, just don't forget it. That's and For me, it was one of the skills you get for the second to last page. There's a couple combos where you want to hold the last bit to like get a boost to that gauge, and so like for me, I would do triangle triangle, and I would hold the third triangle, and that would do a power or like a it'd be in midair, and then I'd hold the triangle to do a charge attack down, which helps give you power for that last gauge. But the entire time I played the game, I played it a little more difficult than I should have, or I could have made it easier on myself because the gear slots you have, I used two of my gear slots were solely dedicated to the XP. One was like a 10% XP, and the other one was 15. And I left that
Uh,
the entire game. I never dipped out of
wow,
those. So because
interesting.
you get new skills in New Game Plus, and so my skill points should carry over. So
I always, well, not always, but for most of the game, I've done um, for damage reduction. So overall damage reduction and melee damage reduction, or shield increase, stuff like that. Just so I'm like more durable, so I can like get, I can take like one more hit, pretty much, or two more hits per fight, and I feel like that allows me to have like the first two. I can have like two or three mess ups on a perfect parry or a perfect dodge. So I'm like, okay, I don't have to restart all this. I can miss two, and then okay, now I'm in rhythm, and then I can wreck house. That's
my
why I
gear,
play.
my gear slot, my other two gear slots, one was always dedicated to gaining health after kill,
Yeah,
um, and
that's
the last one was for the first half or for the first bit was boosting or giving me more um, burst gauge, giving me that more power, like upping
right.
my overall meter. And then later on, I switched it to I think maybe damage reduction when I finally got a 3-star one of those. So my incoming damage was lessened. I think maybe melee. uh, for the most part. But I think I did maybe switched it to just overall damage inbound to help boost my my defense just a little bit. My exospine of choice was a reflex one, which helped me with dodges and parries. And later on, you get another one because that's not a spoiler because you literally see it in your tech tree. Uh, and I'm trying to remember what I used on that one. I think it was healing. I think it had to do with the healing to boost, make my healing more effective. Um, and yeah, I think that was generally my loadout the entire time. And so, honestly, it was uh, if I play it differently, I think I can make it a little bit more manageable for myself if I change my gear just a little bit more. And
Yeah.
but honestly, it's yeah, like I said, that's enough about that from me. I mean, I'm curious to hear about your experience with it. In the next little bit, uh, some big spoil or some big storyline points for you. So I'm kind of curious to hear your thoughts on it. Um, yeah, I feel
Yeah.
like because I collected all the lore and all the pages and all the information, it gave me more. But you can kind of piece together the story quite early. Like you're like, okay, this is how
Yeah.
it was. Definitely how it's going to play out now. But it was fine.
Yeah.
It was still fun uncovering all that. I read more than I
I might,
usually do.
okay, I might run toward the end of the story so we can talk about it next time and leave a lot of the other stuff for New Game Plus. Just go pick up all the other stuff for New Game in New Game Plus. But I don't want to miss anything or I have to play it on a plus plus. So I don't know what I'll do, but I'll try to get through the story and by next week or maybe the week after.
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. I mean, I know you're in the middle of moving, so we'll
Yeah.
see how long that takes. Because that always takes.
Well,
It's one of those things that
yeah, it's
you could.
easier this time because I'm moving in, so I have time. But still, it's like, well, you need to spend 2 or 3 hours per day for several days at least, moving over some stuff, and then you have to unpack all that stuff and move it around. So it just eats into overall game time.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, then you can use your game time as an excuse to procrastinate for unpacking. Um,
Yeah.
it's a vicious cycle. All right.
Perfect
Well,
cycle.
why don't you let us know what you've been watching? You meant to mention this a while ago, but we've just been kind of busy.
Yeah, so we didn't get to a chance to talk about it last weekend because we just spent too much time on news and it was getting late. But I went and saw Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes with a good buddy of mine who is very into the Planet of the Apes stuff, more than anybody I've ever seen. But he really likes apes in general, so that's kind of just a him thing. But but I really enjoyed the Planet of the Apes movies, the most recent trilogy, Rise, Dawn, and War, in 2011, 14, and 17. Those were all really good. Um, I think Rise and Dawn were probably the better ones. And War got a little bit too long in the tooth, a little bit too serious, too slow. And so there's some kind of missteps there. But what I liked about this series is sort of the ability to take a completely insane and frankly stupid idea and show that you can still make a serious story out of it that has real themes, um, and kind of make you like look at these like anthropomorphic apes more like real people than should be possible. But anyway, so I like that about this series. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. The last one came out in 2017, like I mentioned. So it's been 7 years. This is a I'm not going to call it a reboot because it is the same timeline and all that stuff. Um,
It's part of the
but
rebooted timeline, is what it is. It's
well, yeah, and that's all the Tim Burton stuff. And as far as we can tell, um, it is that Tim Burton one is canon. It's just very far in the future, so they have time to mess around. I don't know if they're gonna keep that canon or not, because there's some wild stuff that happens at the end of that one that's like, okay, that seems just that's like that's just a joke. He's just almost just making fun of the series, which is a bad move in my opinion. I think they
Which
should just write that one
what are you
off.
talking
Just
about, man?
say,
The series has been going from 68 and it ended in 73. That was the original 5 movie series, man. Um,
I
and
know,
they had a
I
TV
know,
show if I remember correctly.
but like the Tim Burton one, they should
I don't know.
probably just
Yeah, I might have been
expunge
mistaken
that.
when I thought it was part of this. Tim Burton might have just be considered a remake, and so I honestly remember
So
barely watching The Rise and being like, "This also sucked." So I'm done, and I don't even think I finished Rise, which was I told you I rarely do that, but like
that's too bad, man, because Rise is I mean, Rise definitely has that's the one that they made in 11 that was
yes,
essentially the the reboot or whatever to the modern idea of it. And you can tell that they are trying to make a summer movie with that that's light for people to go see, um, which was probably a good thing, but they hid a lot of interesting questions in there about what it is to be human. Um, and even, I mean, they're using apes to do it, but like what it is to be human, what's wrong with humans, where humans have erred,
are
kind of stuff
humans
like that.
really the real monsters? Yes, we know. It's stuff that's been said and like it's treaded territory. I mean, I not it was one of those things that I just was like, this is for a mass target audience. I am not a part of this. I also grew up watching like the like on TNT and stuff like that. The original Planet of the Apes, Charlton Heston. Like I actually probably seen all the originals. I just don't remember the latter ones because they
Yeah,
weren't that great. Um,
yeah,
and
it's
it
pretty
was
bad.
ridiculous.
Man,
But I mean,
as far as
it's one of those
production
things
goes.
that when you're that young, like I was elementary school and I probably saw them all for the first time, and you're they were neat stories, especially since a lot of the stuff hadn't been really said before. The big plot twist of the first one, of course, is legendary. Um, Tim Burton's remake was not good, um, and and then I just remember being in Korea, being watching Rise, and being like, okay, let me see how this goes. This looks pretty
It's
dumb to
Mark,
me, and
it's Mark Wahlberg. Like, this whole planet is full of apes.
he was still learning. He was still learning to act and to be a lead. Um, still
Mark Wahlberg.
fresh out of the
There's a guy
Funky
at work.
Bunch.
There's a guy at work that quotes this skit that somebody did about Mark Wahlberg, and it's like, well, what's Mark Wahlberg going to bring to the movie? And it's Mark Wahlberg, and he also goes, Mark Wahlberg is going to bring Mark Wahlberg. He's always the same. He always has the same way that he talks, just like this. Um, yeah. So the thing about the Rise and stuff like that is that Rise and Dawn and all that stuff is that the apes are people too. The apes are a stand-in for humanity. They're like a younger version of humanity, and it's a little bit of a like the actual humans in those movies are humans as they are now, humans as they have kind of lost their way, and the apes are more humans of old making the old mistakes, but also have a certain sort of purity to them, a certain sort of like a of an innocence, I would say. Um, that the actual humans in the movies don't have. And you could say, "Oh, well, are the humans the real bad guys?" And it's not like that, like zombie movies always do. Like the real monster is the humans, and that's definitely overplayed. I think that the Planet of the Apes movies have a lot more nuance than that. So, Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, though, is it is less serious. Not to say that it isn't serious, but it is less serious than War or even Dawn and probably even Rise as well. It does have serious moments and stuff like that, but they opted to go for a lot more action and a lot more like it's not like comedy or anything, but just more like, oh, that was cool. Oh, they're gonna do this now. Oh, that was cool. type of stuff, which I appreciated. And um, I think they're doing that because it's a kind of a soft reboot, and so they're getting and it's got apes in it, so it's like got talking apes that are throwing, that like building towers and have lightning sticks and crap like that. So kids are going to go see it. Kids are going to go see it, and so I think they're aiming for that a little bit more. It's a little bit more simplified in those ways. But it also it brings up a lot of mysteries and does not really answer hardly any of those. Which when I was watching the movie, I didn't really appreciate. I was like, dang, they're not going to explain that, are they? As they got toward the end, I was like, dang, they're not going to explain that. Not going to explain that. But it honestly makes me more curious about what they're going to do next. It is a movie that ends because it's a number one in a new reboot, I guess.
Oh, is it?
It
Okay.
ends. It's a new. It is not.
It's like a
It
new
is not
trilogy.
related to the old. It is a new. It is them trying a new trilogy or a new. I don't know if they'll just make two. Just make it one more after this, but it seems to me to
So is
be
Caesar not
a
in it anymore? Did they finally write him out?
yeah, because this is a ways into the future. And the very beginning of the movie, they show Caesar's funeral, um, and
Spoiler.
literally, literally the first day. I guess if you didn't see War, well,
Well, if you
sorry.
see any of the other ones post Tim Burton, like,
But I mean, that is probably the biggest thing that this movie is missing is Andy Serkis, which he's involved. I think it's his production company that handles a lot of the mocap and stuff for these. I could be wrong, but I think I read that somewhere. Regardless, Andy Serkis is a pretty dang good actor. Just as an actor, not even like a mocap guy or a Gollum or whatever, but just as a presence. Um, and this movie's missing that, which that's just sort of the way of it. I'd like to have him in there, but they got to move on. The new actors all do okay. Nobody really steals the show. I think the main guy they have is fine. Um, he's not bad, but with this movie, anyway, I think they're going to do some different stuff, which I won't talk about because it would spoil this one. Um, but I think this is a point that you could create a new trilogy from, but it also ends in such a way where it's like, well, if this movie flops and nobody wants to see any more apes on this planet, then we can be done and not anger anybody that actually does like it.
so
Um,
from what you're saying is it's a good. You can start. You can technically, since it's starting a new trilogy, it's a starting point, but it's also not necessarily the best because it's bringing up a bunch of questions. So it's not a standalone. Like
no,
watch it and like take away.
I'm not going to sit here. I mean, like, if you are truly coming into this as a more or less, I would just say a child, or someone that just
New to
totally
the
missed all,
franchise. Yeah,
you're
someone.
just totally new
Yeah,
to the franchise. I don't. I mean, I guess there's people in their like 20s who would, or maybe I mean, there's just people that would just.
there's high school kids who
I
would see it just a
I
summer.
guess
This is a summer movie. You said you kind of deal like they made it. They dumbed it
if you
down.
are totally new to the franchise, you could watch this and enjoy it. Um, that is definitely very possible. Um, I don't know if you need to go back and watch all the ones from the 60s and 70s. But I
Oh,
would say that
you do not. You don't. Like the only one I ever recommend watching is just the first. Mm, Like you
anyway.
can watch the second, but honestly, it's just the first one is neat and it's good for what it is, especially film culture. But even that probably doesn't. It doesn't hold up like it used to. Attention spans aren't what they are. Like it's people in
that
suits. You
those
know.
movies are written for a different time and all that stuff. Anyway, if I were to recommend someone to see this movie who is totally new to the franchise, I would say it is very worthwhile to go back, watch Rise, Dawn, and War, and then see this movie. Um, but if you were someone that's like, I don't want to mess with that, I just want to see one Planet of the Apes that is not the very original, I would say, yeah, you can go ahead and watch this. You can go ahead and watch this because it's different enough. It's not going to bore you if you're used to modern movies and the pace and how the writing and stuff for modern movies goes.
So the
So you
most
could do
basic
that.
ones between this or Rise, because the other two, Kingdom
Or
or not War
sequels.
and
You know,
the other one, like those the attitude changes. Uh, but so would you choose Rise or Kingdom?
I would say Rise is a better movie.
Okay.
But just from like a theme standpoint, from an action standpoint, Kingdom is awesome. I mean, they do all kinds of crazy stuff. Um, but that's kind of how it breaks down. So if you're more into just like I just want to fucking see a cool movie, then Kingdom is great. It's a great place to start. But if you want to see a movie that tries to tackle better stuff, I would say Rise. But anyway, it was good overall. I enjoyed it. And I am looking forward to the next one.
Okay. All right. For me, I've been playing a lot of Stellar Blade, and between that, some family coming over and such, like my extra time has been kind of filled up. So, I haven't really had a lot of time to watch a lot of things. I did start catching up on some uh, dubbing of anime, and long ago I mentioned Hulk and how it kind of had some unique looks, and I did bring it back up again when it got dubbed for the first time. I've been sticking with that, and that's actually I'm kind of happy I am. It's surprisingly better than expected, and it's I'm at a point in the series, like I think I'm like only like 6 episodes, 7 episodes in or something like that. It's on that tipping point where it could, if it does it well, if it does the right moves, it can be actually really good, um, or it can kind of flounder. So it's right now. It's like I'm enjoying my time, and I really want it to go well. I really do. I'm like, you're just right there. You're almost there. You got to do something, um, or you might not do anything at all. And then I'm like, just that's a wasted opportunity. You could also make me angry, but like I just assume it's gonna be either like more the same, which is a missed opportunity, or you could do a couple of things, any number of things to make it like pop. So I'm invested. I guess is the best way to put it. I'm not invested enough to to go ahead and watch it, start reading it all subbed, but I am patiently waiting when as the dubs come out, and yeah. So there's that. I'm enjoying my time with that, and then there's Undead Unluck, which I didn't really get to talk about too much before, but I'm towards the end of that. There's like one more episode left dubbed, and I have been pleasantly surprised the entire time. Like you kind of expect it to be kind of a joking shonen in the beginning, and the story wise, they throw enough curveballs like every so often, every couple episodes, to start really changing the perspective of how this anime like in their world works. Uh, and I'm enjoying that. It's like those surprises, those twists. Um, yeah, it's good. I most definitely enjoying like I've enjoyed my time with it, and I would recommend this one at this point to anyone who wants like a shonen esque you know thing that's different because yeah, it is worth the time. It's like 20, I forget now, 25, 26 episodes or something. It's a longer series. Um so yeah, totally worth that. Now they just started dubbing Go Loser Ranger, and I mentioned before the season started that I was interested in this, but I just haven't had time to get around to actually reading the sub. So yeah, the dub seems to be solid. 2 episodes out right now, and entertaining. I am not disappointed as well. Granted, it's still too early. It's before the 3 episode hump, right? But it's you know, I'm a fan of the whole Sentai hero thing. I like when things spoof off of it and make fun of the whole hero genre. So
Mm.
to see a
Yeah.
different perspective, it's totally worth it. It's essentially the bad guys have been enslaved by the heroes to perform an invasion on every Sunday, or like every weekend they come in
Yeah.
and invade just to
It's
get
nice.
themselves slaughtered.
It's nice when anime is self-aware because it's very, very, very rare compared to how much anime gets produced when anime realizes how stupid it is. uh, which is why we love it because it's stupid in its own way. But like when it does realize it and it makes fun of itself, it's kind of like it's almost like when an actor is in a skit that's making fun of him on SNL, or or like that's one thing I've always said. If I got famous, I would talk to the guys. I would talk to gosh, I can't think of their name, but I'd talk to the guys that write South Park, and I'd be like, look, guys, if you guys ever do an episode about me, please just let me be in the episode. Just
Let
let
you do
me
your own
be.
voice.
Oh,
Yeah,
not no, no. I want no. Someone else can do my voice because they'll probably find somebody that can mock me better than I can do it. But let me be like one of the hecklers or some aspect of it that's like a part of it. So anyway, that's just saying I like it when anime is self-aware.
yeah, and it is so far, and it's doing pretty good. And the last one was my kind of I don't know if I can't remember if I mentioned this last time, but it was kind of a big disappointment. It was Ninja Kamui. Um,
Uh,
it was started so strong, like the action was stellar.
you
Um,
did say that, yeah.
yeah, and then it ended so weak. It was
Yeah.
just the most flaccid of endings. It was just pathetic. It like
Not, not a happy ending, huh?
they ended up well the beginning action was very much hand to hand, and fast paced, very crisp. Then they switched to power suits. Is the best way to explain it. It's like an exosuit.
Oh,
And then
mhm.
they're like, yeah, and you know what would be cool if we did the Japanese thing and make it into really kind of mediocre CG, and let's make those fights really stilted. Like, yeah, like Shadow Puppet stilted at some points. Like some major key battles are just very like robotic and just blocky. It's like, wow, this sucks. This is just a shame. Like the the action alone could have carried it, even with the story being like kind of fizzing out towards like the mid section, like and just kind of going to to the end. But like if the action held up and if the combat was great, you would just that would carry it by itself. Uh, I mean, I've watched plenty of movies that have zero story, but the action, if the action is good enough to the front to back, I mean, I feel like that's the way of all those like the early Tony Jaa movies, Ombak and all that. Like, I don't know, I don't need
Yeah.
to know the reason why. I just know why you're kicking butt. I just need to watch you just messing people up. And yeah, this one,
Somebody
like I said,
killed
just
my dog. Someone
yeah,
stole my elephant.
yeah, exactly. So that's it.
It's almost better. It's almost better when it's a stupid reason.
Yeah, I mean, in this one it was just like it was revenge. Okay, like episode one, wife and kid dead. All right, and now he's kicking butt. All right, cool. And then they're like, let's do these really bad robot CG like fight scenes, and it's just that was just it. It was so pathetic. So yeah, don't waste your
Yeah.
time with it. If anything, just watch episode one or two, like one and two, and be like, all right, and then
Uh,
just pretend like the rest of it never happened. Uh, you know. But
yeah,
yeah,
that's what I do with my life. Um, anyway, uh, yeah. Well, I haven't been watching much anime. I know you didn't ask, but I want to tell you I haven't watched much anime because of moving life. Um, watching movies, playing Stellar Blade, and also the NBA playoffs are going on. So, I've been watching that a little bit, and but fully intend to get back to the ones that I was watching. Thank goodness I finished Rerun whenever I did, because I don't. I probably would have had to force myself, but yeah, that and anyway, man, there's so much to watch right now. I mean, I missed Dune 2, which I have some people in my life that were not happy with it. Um,
I was not happy with you missing it,
I
because you made
know I
such
like
a big deal about it last time for the
Well,
first
I mean,
movie.
I was still right about all that stuff. And So I heard some stuff about it that was a little bit mocking, and I was kind of like, I don't know. Like, I feel like if you tell people like, I haven't seen this yet, I don't know.
Just watch
In
it,
person,
watch it, come back to us at
I
that
know.
time.
But like that, like now my opinion is like colored for it, and I'm like, okay, I'll watch that later, and I didn't want to go to the theater to watch it, and it's gonna come out on HBO Max or whatever in any minute now, so probably watch it then. But there's a new Fury Road, and there's a bunch of anime, and there's too much to watch, man. There's too much to watch. Anyway, you got some more stuff on here?
Nope, nope. That's
Okay,
there's
right
nothing
away.
else left on the docket, man. Yeah, we are done. Yeah, the Fury Road, or the Furiosa. I am curious about it, but I
I'm
I didn't
scared.
really. I never really wanted it. Like, it's not Mad Max. I mean, it's cool that's about her, but we kind of know how her story ends. I don't necessarily need to know. I forgot what authors or someone said that if it was good enough to
Stephen King.
needed a prequel, like, yeah, like they would have made it to begin with. Um, but honestly, then you have Chris Hemsworth being Thor, like, or looking like Thor, and I'm like, that's just ridiculous. I just saw the trailer with him with the cape, and I'm like, yeah, I don't care.
Yeah, I mean it fits in because
All of it.
was something Joe.
Immortan Joe.
Um, yeah, Immortan Joe. That's such a yeah. I thought it was Immortal for the longest time. Immortan Joe. I think he had a cape as well. Um, Chris Hemsworth being kind of the opposite of that. It looks interesting. Yeah, I don't know if we need this, it might actually be a different quote, but I think Stephen King's quote is a lot happens in a prequel and almost none of it matters. And yeah, so every time I see a prequel thing, it's like, okay, you're not really giving me anything that you really strongly believe in. But I do like the actress Anya Taylor-Joy. She's very good. It looks like she's acting hard in this one. Um, so I want to see it. I also did really love, Fury Road, so I kind of want to relive some of that glory. Um, but
It's a movie that's
yeah,
best. The first time is probably best seen in theaters, or with the
too.
spectacle of it all. But I'm not
See
gonna get
my
around to it.
my dad told me he probably did see it. He just has forgotten because he's like that. But he told me he never saw Fury Road, and I was like, because the trailer was on. He's like, what's that? And I was like, well, I remember the movie Mad Max Fury Road came out. And he was like, oh, I don't think I saw that. I was like, dude, we need to watch that. So I might make him watch it, and that might make me excited enough to go actually see it. But anyway,
All right.
it's all that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you know, if you guys made it to this part, we appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Yeah, this is it's been another Dead Pixel, episode 76. And Nick, as always, what are the words of wisdom that you have for the people out there?
um, tape up, man. Tape up your fingers, tape up your ankles, tape up your toes, tape up your elbows, tape up your ears. Tape it all up before you do anything. It's a crazy world out there. So tape up.
All right. Well, until next time, y'all take it easy.
Bye.